Yes, I'm a teacher at Columbine High School. There is a student here with a gun. He was shot out a window. I believe one I go to Columbine High School.
There were many school shootings before Columbine, but they weren't acknowledged the way Columbine was. It is presumed to be because they weren't as high in death count. On July 26, 1764, a group of Lenape American Indians entered a schoolhouse near Greencastle, Pennsylvania, and shot and scalped schoolmaster Enoch Brown and tomahawked and scalped 9 or 10 of his children. 4 children were taken as prisoners and 2 survived their scalp wounds. The Enoch Brown massacre is thought to be the earliest known attack. It was the first to occur targeting a school and involve a gun. On August 1st, 1966, at the University of Texas in Austin, the first school mass shooting in modern U.S. history occurred. This shooting is credited for being the phase mass shooting to the American lexicon. The United States has 120.5 guns per 100 people, or about 393,347,000 guns, which is the highest total and per capita number in the world. Not to mention, 22% of Americans own one or more guns, specifically 35% of men and 12% of women.
After the massacre at Columbine High School in 1999, school shootings have sparked debates on restrictions on purchasing and owning guns. As the University of California, Los Angeles constitutional law professor Adam Winkler explains to NPR's Kelly McEvers, those debates have led to very few new federal laws. But Columbine and gun control became a big issue in the presidential campaign of 2000. Al Gore's embrace on gun control led to the Republicans and the NRA to give a series of speeches that emphasized Gore's opposition to gun rights. In the 12 months following Columbine shooting, legislatures put forward more than 800 new bills having to do with guns, as Popular Science reported. The bills included measures to strengthen background checks and the protection of rights for gun owners who cross state lines. In total, Popular Science reported that about 10% of those bills passed. In the year 2000, a measure that would have required sellers at gun shows to conduct the same kind of background checks that licensed dealers perform was defeated in the Colorado legislature. And as The Guardian reported, Colorado citizens decided that they had had enough. They gathered the signatures that were needed to put the measure to a statewide vote in 2000, and it passed with over 70% of the vote.
The St. Valentine's Day Massacre on February 14th, 1929 in Chicago resulted in a series of debates and laws to ban machine guns. The Gun Control Act of 1968 into law. The GCA regulates interstate gun commerce, prohibiting interstate transfer unless completed among licensed manufacturers, importers, and dealers, and restricts gun ownership. In 1791, the Bill of Rights, including the Second Amendment, which states, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, gains final ratification. Furthermore, in 1871, the National Rifle Association is organized around its primary goal of improving American civilians' marksmanship and preparation for war. In 1934, the National Firearms Act of 1934, regulating the manufacture, sale, and possession of fully automatic firearms like submachine guns, is approved by Congress. In 1968, the Gun Control Act of 1968 was created and regulates imported guns, expands the gun dealer licensing and record-keeping requirements, and places specific limitations on the sale of handguns. In 1990, the Crime Control Act of 1990 bans manufacturing and importing semi-automatic assault weapons in the U.S. Gun-free school zones are established carrying specific penalties for violations.
The NICS was implemented on November 30th, 1998, a year before Columbine, and later amended on January 8th, 2008. This was in response to all of the mass school shootings taking place, mostly Columbine and the Virginia Tech University school shooting, so that the Attorney General could more easily acquire information pertinent to background checks such as disqualifying mental conditions. The most common state gun control laws include background checks, waiting periods, and registration requirements to purchase or sell guns. After Virginia Tech in 2008, President Bush signed the National Instant Criminal Background Check Improvement Act, requiring gun buyer background checks to screen for legally declared mentally ill individuals who are ineligible to buy firearms. Since 2009, there have been 288 school shooting incidents in the United States, while the next closest country is Mexico and Africa with 8 and 6. Some other countries have responded with the kind of super tough gun control. In Europe, they've instituted stringent background checks and proactive psychological interventions, which seem to be working. The Australian government bought back and destroyed nearly 600,000 banned guns, and while there still have been incidents, Australia has freed itself from fatal mass shootings.